Welcome back to Teach English Now. It's time to summarize what we've learned in this module to help prepare you for your module review quiz.
In our first lesson, we stressed the importance of objectives and how they not only help you know what to teach, but also how to assess if your students have met the objectives or not. Using clear action words with given statements and measurable achievements helps you design learning activities and assessments that are aligned, all pointing in the same direction, just like the wheels of a car. We also discussed the importance of making sure your objectives matter. It is possible for your objectives, learning activities, and assessments to all be aligned, but still not point toward your larger learning goals.
In our second lesson, we discussed two types of learning, memory and knowledge. Both types of learning have their place in language teaching, depending on your purpose for teaching language. However, for most language teachers today, their main purpose is for students to learn to communicate in the target language, which requires much more knowledge learning, or application learning, than rote memorization.
We also discussed different types of assessments that you can use to measure memory and knowledge learning, including performance-based assessments. We emphasized that performance-based assessments have several important characteristics. First, they must be authentic or as close to real-world situations as possible. Second, they should require a constructed response and not be simple multiple choice or yes-no types of questions. And third, they should involve higher order thinking skills, requiring students to analyze information, evaluate ideas, and create a response.
In our third lesson, we mentioned several ideas that will help make your assessment life easier. We talked about the difference between formative and summative assessment and emphasized that you should try to include much more formative than summative assessments in your classes. Remember, formative assessment is meant to give students feedback on their learning progress and to help teachers find gaps in students' learning. Summative learning is more to evaluate students' performance and make a decision based on their performance.
We also stressed the importance of having a clear rubric and using peers to provide feedback. Think carefully about the different categories you want to assess and what levels of performance you expect to see. And write clear descriptions of the characteristics of each level. Go through these descriptions with the students to make sure they understand what is expected and how they will be evaluated. If you have models of student work you can show at each level, that can help students understand more clearly. Also, don't forget the time-saving features that technology can provide, and look to your colleagues for ideas on how to integrate technology into your assessments.
In our fourth lesson, you got to see 3 teachers in action as they introduced assessments to their students. We saw that it's easy to get things out of alignment without careful planning and paying close attention to the learning objectives. When everything is aligned and pointing towards your larger goals, students progress in their learning much more quickly and have much more fun doing it.
Now it's time for you to think about your classroom and how you will design your assessments. Think back to one of the objectives you created in our earlier modules. Using that objective as a guide, you will be asked to describe how you would assess whether or not your learners have met that objective. Describe the assessment as specifically as you can, and as always, ask for feedback from your classmates. Have fun and do your best.
In our next module, we'll summarize the important ideas from the entire course to help you get ready for your final course quiz. See you then!